Okay, hello everyone. So I'm going to check my audio. It's working perfectly. And I'm also going to share my screen so that I can comment along the way. Okay. Let's share this one. Okay. Welcome everyone. It's Head-On's strategy implementation session. So it implies that you can ask your questions, and I encourage you to do so via the comments. And here is our plan for today's session. Quick introduction of what we're going to do, the main parts, and finally the questions and answers. So I saw there were some questions posted in the comment section on the main page. So you can feel free to post your questions here on YouTube, and we'll cover them in the end. And I will be also checking out your questions here. Yes. So I see some people coming and expect more to join us. And anyway, there will be recording of this on YouTube, so you will find it there as well. So let's start with this one, introduction. So we're talking about XYZ Eco Group. As you can guess from its name, it's an imaginary company that is dedicated to solving the problem of climate change. And they do it by introducing some greening technologies into the cities. By greening technologies, we mean rooftop gardens, vertical fence, things like this. So this company, it started facing certain challenges in how to describe and implement the strategy. As many other companies, they started in spreadsheets and Excel spreadsheets, but it resulted to be not really effective. And very soon they found themselves managing too many spreadsheets. So when they needed to scale, when they needed to talk to more stakeholders, they found out that they need to actually scale their approach. And another problem that they faced is that their business is divided into, let's say, two main parts. One part that is doing, let's say, physical installation, physical work, and another that is also important is the one that is actually doing research needed for the physical installation and doing some developing some technology. So that's what the challenge of the Eco Group, how to combine all this together to make sure that strategy is coherent, make sure that a strategy is understandable. It's easy to share not just within the team, but also with other stakeholders. And well, to have a better control of what they're doing by introducing, by quantifying certain goals, by introducing metrics, by introducing action plans, and also have a better understanding of what risks they are facing, the risk landscape, not just because of regulations required to track risks, but because they wanted to do it for their internal strategy. So that's a challenge that they faced, and they decided to try BSC Designer platform for this. So I'm logging into their account. It's actually a demo account. So if you want to have a look at it, you can go to the sign up page, and you will find this button, demo account. And by clicking this button, you will just log in the same account as I did, but you will be logged in as a view-only user. So you will be able to view things, but you will not be able to modify them. Okay, so that's what the challenge. What response they expect to, what their response strategy is to implement the strategy using this system that we'll talk about right now. So these are the key parts of this system. So strategy core, cascading of strategy into scorecards, decomposition of goals, objectives into sub-goals, metrics, initiatives, risks, and of course aligning all these scorecards. So that's how it looks on this diagram, but we need to dig into details to see how it's actually working on practice. So the first topic that we're going to cover is stakeholder management. In the case of this organization, there are actually many stakeholders, and it was critical for them to map all those stakeholders. And to do this on the platform, they actually went to settings, strategy, and here is the result, the list, quite long list of the stakeholders. What they did when creating this list, they used this template for stakeholder management or stakeholder analysis. How this template looks like. So we have here certain groups of stakeholders like external, internal, and we also have inside some details for these stakeholders. So for example, external stakeholders, obviously it's local community, people who are living in the building with this greening, for example, with the rooftop gardens, the residents. Of course, there are suppliers who supply the technology, supply solar panels, supply watering devices. Of course, there are partners. It actually include real estate developers because it's easier to implement such things on early stages. It includes also some educational institutions, some organizations that push the idea of expanding green areas. That's the list of external stakeholders. Internal stakeholders, obviously, employees. As in a separate group, we have this item, investors. So basically, it's not a kind of internal stakeholder. We put it in a separate category traditionally. And obviously, there are stakeholders that this company need to deal with due to certain legal obligations, like local governments that basically define the rules for the game in a specific area, in a specific city. For now, it's just a list. And the next challenge in the context of stakeholders was to understand what their needs are. And they added these needs by these items, like hypothesis, by clicking on this small button. Yeah. So, for example, for local communities, the obvious need is to actually improve livability by cooling environment, by having better air and having access to the green spaces. Or if we open municipal governments, we'll see that their need is formulated in a different way. It's to work on climate change resilience. Yeah, so different stakeholders have a different viewpoint on this. Yeah, and like for real estate developers, the hypothesis was that basically their real need in the context of this business is to increase the value of property, the building, just because there is a this, for example, rooftop garden or vertical farm. One note about how this was created. It was not created at once. It's like first we start with a list of stakeholders, and then we add more details at different hypotheses, at different value metrics, and it's not static. It's always in dynamic, always changing, because what we want to do, we always want to reflect how our business stands compared to the interests of the stakeholders. So it's always looking at stakeholders, what they need, looking at what our business can provide, adjusting a business, looking back at the stakeholders, getting feedback, adjusting business. It's always dynamic. Another thing that we have here, we have these metrics. So for example, for local communities, we mentioned that they want to have a cooler urban environment. So they want to have clear air, and they want to have these green spaces in their city. That's a quite vague definition of their needs. And to make it more specific, we quantify it by a metric. In this case, the metric is percentage of population with 10 minutes access to green space. Interesting thing about this metric, you can see it has certain current state, 70%. The interesting thing is that is not living here, this metric. It's actually taken from Urban Greening Strategy Scorecard, from another scorecard. And that we're going to talk a little bit later. Another interesting thing about this stakeholder, we actually wanted to map the risks relevant for this stakeholder. And that's a risk which is formulated as high cost of green infrastructure maintenance. So it's logically, if there is a rooftop garden on my building, I'm afraid that I will need to pay higher maintenance fee, and basically what looks good on the paper will not be so good in the monthly invoice. So we need to, on the level of strategy, we need to understand this risk. And first of all, we map it here, and we map it likelihoods. We estimate its impact, and we also map here risk mitigation plan, which in this case is to basically focus on infrastructure that helps to minimize the costs of maintaining this architecture. So if in your case you plan to add risks, it's just as simple as do it here, add risk, and you will have a template like this. And adding metrics also is you select where you want to add it and just click add. So that's for local communities. For different stakeholders, we've had a similar approach to defining this. I'm just looking at, for example, these local governments. The interesting part here is that one metric that quantify their need is taken from one of the strategy scorecards. But other metrics are created here. So other metrics actually we're tracking these metrics right here, right in this stakeholder scorecard. So in this state, the stakeholder scorecard is quite powerful tool to understand what stakeholders need, to track it like in the form of hypotheses like we did, and to actually quantify their need by using the certain metrics. So we can have a visual picture of this on the strategy map, and actually we'll go back to this stakeholder analysis many times, and that's what I suggest to do in your business as well, to always look back at the needs of stakeholders, how they change, how they actually affect your organization. So once this analysis was done in this template, what the Eco Group managers did, they click this sync button, Actually, I can click it right now, but there are no new stakeholders. So all these stakeholders are in this list now. And one of the benefits it gives us is that we can now assign these stakeholders to specific goals so that we know that this goal, we have it in our strategy because it's aligned with the need of the stakeholder. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to share about stakeholders. And if you have any questions about stakeholders, feel free to share. I think there was one question about this. Let's get back to it in the end to discuss it, all the questions together. So stakeholders management. If we look at this diagram, we did actually this. We are articulated the stakeholders and their needs. What we need to do, we need to document vision, mission, and values. And that will be the next step. To do this, what I need to do is to go to Strategy tab again, Settings, and simply define my mission, vision, and values here. Yeah. So basically, the rest of strategy design will be cascaded from this mission. Like it was formulated like to design and imagine innovative urban greening spaces to enhance the quality of life, combat climate change, and promote environmental sustainability. High-level mission, too vague to be implemented in this form, so we're going to cascade it into scorecards. So I clicked Save, and besides having it there, I will always see these strategy attributes here, the mission, vision, and values. And any user who logs in, if you log into demo account, you will see the same. It's just a reminder about what we're doing and why we're doing this. Okay, so this one was short. Now, cascading overall strategy into scorecard. We're moving here to this second part. I know here we had involved the team, the last option, but let me get back to it a little bit later. So now we're going to talk about cascading. Cascading is a high-level strategy. So how it was done in the case of Eco Group. Actually, I have here this master plan. And you see the hierarchy here. It includes two sub-strategies, two sub-scorecards. One is urban greening and another smart technology integration. So basically, these two strategy scorecards, they follow the idea of the split between business units in this organization. So like physically, these are different units with different functions, so they have different strategies here. The good thing is that if I open it, the master plan, I will see that they are actually connected. So I see here our master plan, for example, in terms of finance, the goal is to reduce cost of operation. And it is supported by two goals coming from, one is coming from urban greening strategy scorecard. It's this one. And another coming from smart technology integration scorecard, this one. The same happens for customer perspective. Yeah, different goals, and they're supported by the goals from the below line scorecards. Yeah. And in some cases, like for example, in learning in growth perspective, we have continuous innovations goal that is supported by two goals from two other scorecards. And it also has here a risk that is like kind of overall risk. So we define it here. And there is another goal here, build motivated team, that is also supported from by the other scorecards. Actually, we can also create some high-level goals here. And the good thing that once I do it, it will be automatically placed on my strategy map. So this is the strategy map, how it's represented. And actually, if you prefer this format, the first generation strategy map, it's also possible to have it. Let's remove it, this new item. Everything is dynamic, and this one is good for presenting to some of the stakeholders, like what your strategy is. Okay, and so in this case, the cascading was quite simple. Yeah, we have a master plan, and we also have this urban green that is focusing on actual physical implementation. So here you see we have more specific goals related to customers, more specific goals related to how this will be actually implemented, what's stopping us from implementing it effectively. That's the physical implementation. And another scorecard is dedicated to the goals and metrics related to actually R&D. We have some more specific goals here, and more specific initiatives and specific metrics. So that was a simple example to split it into how we can split a high-level strategy, our master plan, into two scorecards. And actually, I know people ask about how to connect all this. In this case, I did it manually. So in this case, what I did, I use something like this. I go to Tools, Copy, and then switch to Master Plan, and then I Tools Paste, and I click Link by Data. And in this way, I actually connected these two scorecards. Yeah, but it's not necessary to do it this way. Sometimes you can just connect by perspectives. I will just show it quickly. If I create here a new scorecard, just new scorecard, empty one, it will be placed here. And what's interesting is that it's now connected to my master plan. So I see that the new scorecard, the finance of new scorecard is contributing to finance of master plan. The customer of new scorecard is contributing to customer of master plan, and so on and so forth. So this is a kind of automatic alignment that we can absolutely customize. So okay, this is a kind of minimalistic cascading. What we see with our clients, and this hierarchy can be quite big, and it's not necessarily a hierarchy. Sometimes we have like 2 or 3 branches that are connected between each other. So that's how we do cascading into strategy scorecards. I know people ask that, what this? If these are strategy scorecards, what these are then? Also scorecards. Actually, we started with a stakeholder analysis, and I see it here. It's also a scorecard, but it's not, let's say, implemented in the main strategy. It's a kind of supporting scorecard. So we're going to talk about this a little bit later. And we did the cascading part. And let's get back to this one. Involve the team in strategy design and execution. Onboarding the strategy and operational team. So how to do this? Like, if I look on this screen, I see that we have here these teams. So demo team, of course, because we gave access to this for a demo user. But we also have here management team. We also have here investors. We have IT team. So they all have different ways to access a strategy. Most likely in your case, you will want to give everyone view-only access to certain part of strategy. And most likely you will give specific rights to modify the strategy that they own. Like, for example, here IT team, I see that they have modify right for this strategy scorecard. And in other functional scorecard, I see here many teams, and all they have right to modify. Yeah, but for example, demo user, it's only right to view as well as management user. But management user in this case has right to modify. So that's where we set up these access rights. But we also needed to actually get these people into the system, and we did it in user section, where basically we created these groups and added specific users and assigned them to specific groups, specific teams. So this approach is more sustainable because if a specific user leaves the company or changes its role, we can simply change its team and the user will be in another group. And in terms of roles, the platform will also give you different roles, like administrator, power user who can do everything, like user who can only enter data, and view only user as a user that we use for demonstration. So basically, onboarding is that simple. We add users and we give them access rights. And in some cases, we can actually give access rights on the level of certain indicator, or even on the level of the value of certain indicator. So it's quite flexible in terms of doing this. Okay, decomposition of complex goals. In this case, we're skipping this for now, functional scorecard. So we're moving to decomposition part, how it works. So let's open the urban green strategy. And actually, the decomposition starts with mission. So this mission, combat climate change with these green spaces, is vague. It's not specific enough. So what we did, we first started cascading it into master plan, and then cascading it into urban green strategy scorecard and the smart technology scorecard. So we started decomposition this level. And then when we move on to, for example, urban green scorecard, we go ahead with more specific level of decomposition. For example, like overall strategy of overall goal of urban green strategy is to transforming green areas, urban areas in green zone to lower ambient temperatures. Yeah, again, it's quite vague. How do we transform urban areas? Here we use the balanced scorecard framework with the 4 perspectives to break it down into the drivers for desired change and outcomes, finance and customer. So what are the drivers? One of the driver, it's actually optimizing the paperwork, because the paperwork in any local government, it's complicated. Yeah. Again, optimizing paperwork. What exactly we mean by this? And we did decomposition here. So we quantified by effectiveness of approval timeline. Probably we'll just measure the time it's needed to get through approval stages. In some cases, it's not just about time. We need to track it for different locations in a different way, but that's our intention, to track it this way. And we also have action plan for this, partner with the local governments. The same for learning and growth. Yeah. So if to achieve excellence in modifying these urban areas into introducing more green areas, we need certain technology. We need to know this. Yeah. Where we get it, it will be or developed in-house, or we'll partner with research institutions. Again, we make it more specific by using this metric, number of partnerships with research institutions. This case, similar situation, initiative metric. The difference is that here we actually use 2 metrics. One is leading metric. You see this green rectangle, so it tells me that it's green leading metric. So we interview local NGOs non-governmental organizations, and to get an idea what kind of challenges they are facing, how we can help. And in terms of result indicator or login indicator, we're tracking number of events that we do together. Just an example. The point here is that we're moving from something complex, like it was formulated in the beginning, transforming urban areas, to something more specific. Yeah, and along the way, we define goals, we define initiatives, we're trying to quantify them with performance indicators. And we also define risks, like in this case, changes in sustainability regulations is a risk that we defined in the context of this goal. So yeah, regulations are changing rapidly, so we need to have effective system to adjust our controls rapidly as well. So that's the point of decomposition. And obviously, we're not limited to one level. Yeah. So optimize paperwork. Probably I would add more levels, just click and add to get to the actually actionable level. Yeah. So that's how the Eco Group did decomposition. Okay. The next topic is the supporting scorecards. This one, create functional scorecards. We call it functional or supporting scorecards. From the, let's switch here. So we have it grouped here in this folder. From the viewpoint of how the software automates them, there is not much difference. Yeah. If I open, for example, let's open pastel analysis. It will be quite similar. It will be quite similar. We have here the perspectives that we use to do analysis of external factors. They are visualized on the map. And inside, we also have some metrics, some initiatives, the classical things. Yeah. The difference is that these functional scorecards, they are not contributing to the strategy directly, but still we need them. It's like the question we typically hear, like, should talent management be a part of your strategy? Well, it depends on the company. Obviously, without having good talents in your company, you won't execute your strategy. Yeah, so it's a part of your strategy. The question is where you put it. Yeah, you can put it as one of the pillars of your strategy. Like if you're doing AI technology now, probably you should have a dedicated strategy scorecard for attracting data scientists. Normally, in like normal companies, you would have it here in the supporting scorecards. Yeah, but you still can link the certain metrics, certain goals from that scorecard to the metrics and goals in your main strategy. And I think we have on this diagram, that's a dedicated segment, aligning scorecards. So let me show how the powerful this idea might be. This is a pastel analysis, yeah, and analysis of external factors. One of the factors that was detected is actually climate change, obviously. And if I opened here, I see what we mean by this. Yeah, obviously, it's analysis of external factors in the context of this organization. So if you will do this, you actually will start with a template, but you will have different projection of these findings of these factors on your company. So in the case of this Eco Group company, what was the projection? The projection was actually that there is a risk of heat wave, yeah, and what to do in this case. And what they did, they actually aligned this risk with two goals in other scorecards. So let's open build motivated team. Yeah, I think in master plan we have it. Build motivated team. Yeah, so what's the logic here? In our master scorecard, we have this goal, build motivated team. Okay, it's quite vague goal for demonstration purposes, but anyway. And here we have the risk of climate change, the risk of extreme weather event as projected on this organization. So how the heat wave will affect our strategy, how the risk of heat wave will affect our strategy. Well, obviously, we want to have this motivated team. So we need, in some way, we need to find a way to, to give team good conditions to work, yeah, to do things like this. And this risk is also aligned with another goal, which is create accessible green areas. And it's even more logical. Yeah, I have it here. In the context, I have this risk from pestle analysis. If there is a risk of extreme weather events, of heat waves, then obviously we need to respond it in some way. And that's one of the main business directions of this company, actually, to create accessible green areas. Why to have this connection? Well, first of all, we understand our strategy better. Yeah, we don't just create accessible green areas just because we want to, because it's like nice thing to have. We actually is trying to mitigate certain risks. And if I go to pestle analysis, I will see what the current risk is, what the current impact is. Actually, what we want to do, we want to minimize this. So now it's 50, but I want in October it to be 40. I want this triangle on the risk diagram. I want it to move. I wanted to move from yellow zone to green zone. And this understanding, this kind of understanding, it helps to better understand your strategy, of course, and it helps to explain your strategy to the stakeholders. Yeah? Not just talking about the goal of creating accessible green areas, but you're aligning it, you're connecting it to the pestle analysis. And actually, we did similar alignment with the stakeholders. We have it here. So, for example, these local governments, let's see where they are aligned to. So they have it here. This one is aligned by data. Yeah, so I did what I was showed before. I just copy and paste this indicator, but when copying, I selected the option to link by data. So now they are aligned by data. What else here? Yeah, we have here we have alignment by data as well, and we can also align them by the context, like we did for pestle analysis. So for pestle analysis, for example, this climate change risk, I have it here. It's not contributing by data. I don't see here any data coming from the pestle analysis, but it's contributing as a context. So it gives us a better understanding of what's going on. If needed, in theory, I can just connect them and do something strange, like, for example, yeah, let me repeat it to use this one. So copy and paste just an example and link by data. And here impact, it's not clear for me, so I will impact of heat wave. So the idea here is that now we're connected by data. So we do analysis of external factors independently from our strategy, and we reuse certain estimation of risk here on this scorecard. Yeah. So these are two main mechanics for connecting your strategy scorecards. Connecting by data, like we do by copy and pasting and selecting link by data, like we did here. This one is coming from Urban Green. They connected by data. This is coming from the same connected by data, and also connecting by the context, like we did for pestle. relates to it, is not connected by data. And finally, on the level of scorecards, like we did here, when we edit something inside, we connecting them by the perspectives. The main idea in that the strategy is not isolated. It's always in this connection, or by data or by the context. Okay. Let's review other supporting scorecards that we have. I'm going to do it quite briefly. Yeah, if you want to create certain supporting scorecards, you have templates here, and that basically cover many directions like cybersecurity, marketing, sales, a lot of templates. So what we have here is a supporting scorecard. This one is interesting. It's continuous performance evaluation. In this case, we had certain parameters, certain criteria that we use to evaluate specific installations, like there's Madrid, Barcelona, Doha. And we do it month by month. So I have here data for August, September, October. Actually, I can switch this view to make it more dynamic. So I see now how it was changing. I can also see here the data. The interesting thing that I can do, I can visualize them on this series chart, this one. So I can see how these locations are comparing to each other. So for example, running cost in Madrid by square meter is higher and it's quite low in Riyadh. And I can also check here in this time chart how they were, overall rating was changing during the time. Yeah, we discussed this in the, there is an article dedicated to evaluation scorecards, and we talk about this in detail there. Stakeholder analysis, what I showed you before. Pestle analysis, analysis of external factors. Again, we discussed it before. Business model canvas. Actually, that's an example of how we can articulate the business model of this company. It's following the strategizer approach. You have customer segments, you have value proposition, all these things. The difference from a typical business model canvas is that this one uses live data. So for example, this air quality improvement, if I click here, I see that it's actually, that's in the value proposition category. And it's actually taking the data from 2 scorecards. Yeah, so it's not just canvas that shows me the text blocks and that's it. No, it's actually the canvas that shows me the live data. Yeah, so business model canvas. Yeah, and for many templates that you will use, you will see this green button, guide for template. So if you click on it, you will be redirected to article that explains how to manage with this template. And another thing, it's risk register. I think there was one question about it, but let's get back to the question later. Yeah, so risk register. In our scorecard, I have seen that we mapped risks where it was appropriate. Like in this pestle analysis, we mapped this risk of heat wave, and we actually connected to this risk to the context. And you can do this, or you can create a dedicated risk register like this, different types of risks. And actually, for each risk, you can define what your mitigation plan is. You can define sort of controls to detect this risk, to prevent this risk. So it's a kind of centralized approach. Again, if you find certain risk here, like for example, power outages risk, and we have it in our strategy, for example, this one, urban greening, we have something that might be related to this risk, like, for example, effective green space system. Yeah. So basically, if we're talking about some IT system, one of the risks is that will be these power outages. So what we can do, again, I can copy this and I can paste it here. And the tool, the platform, suggests me to either link by data or by context. Yeah. If I do it by context, this risk will be associated here. It will be related here. So if in some report, on some chart, I will be able to visualize this risk as well. Yeah. So when we're going to develop this goal further, like effective green space system, what is affecting this system? Someone will say, look, we have it aligned with this risk of power outages. So we need to have certain sub-goal, for example, providing battery or providing solar panel just for a case. Yeah, just for a case. Again, that's how this might be implemented in practice. Review of the results. Let's get to the article here. I have here some screenshots and the results achieved. Yeah. Probably one of the most important changes in how companies execute strategy, how companies discuss strategies, is that now when you have everything on the platform, you have a single source of truth of your strategy. So normally it's like, so what we are doing, why we are doing it? To answer this question, you need to go and search in spreadsheets, you need to go search in some documents. Here you have it all in one place. Yeah. So for example, for master plan, if we have like create accessible green areas, I can go here and I can upload some supporting documents. Yeah. If I, for example, like partner with municipal governments to plan this initiative, what I can do, I can add some documents here, or add links to the documents, or actually upload certain documents to the system. So ideally, you have everything in one place. You have your goals, you have your goals, you have your initiatives, you have your metrics, you have supporting documentation. Yeah, so single source of truth, no excessive paperwork, on understanding where the strategy is and what you're doing about it. Better understanding of stakeholder needs. That's what we started with. Instead of just having the list of stakeholders, we can actually have it in a very specific way. We can understand what their needs are. We can add more hypotheses about their needs, and we can quantify them with indicators to make them more specific. And what we can do, what I have not shown you before, what we can actually do, we can assign here owner. And it's not just owner in terms of person who will receive notification. And for this purpose, we have our team. In this case, I can also assign stakeholders. They will not receive any notification, but for our team, we will see who stands behind this goal. Yeah. So like robust and scalable IT infrastructure, we can say, okay, in this case, we're talking about probably operations and project management team who are the main stakeholders of this. Yeah. So later in all the reports, I can filter by this stakeholder and understand how we are satisfying the need of this stakeholder, or if we're not satisfying the need of this stakeholder. Anyway, this was another tangible achievement. Defining accountability for goals by assigning owners. That's interesting because, well, first of all, we assign owners, and we know who is responsible for this goal. We also give access rights, so it's not just accountability, we also ensure certain transparency. If you want strategy awareness, but people don't see any strategy, how we can expect people to know what your strategy is? But in this case, we can give you only access. Also in terms of accountability, the platform has what is called audit trail. Yeah. So you can select any goal, any item, any indicator, and you'll find here a button like history of change. And oops, I think I was locked out. No, everything okay. Yeah, so you will find this history of change button that will tell you the history about what's going on with this indicator, when it was created, who created it, when the value for this indicator was modified. So you have all the records of your activities. And this also happens for initiatives as well. Yeah, for initiatives, you can also see the history related to this initiative, yeah, when it was created, who did it, and so on and so forth. So accountability is this one. Explainability by implementing alignments through data and context. That's what we discussed many times. So first of all, we explain the pillars of our strategy here. And for many goals, we can say why we have them on our scorecard. Like the example with pestle analysis, yeah, the heat wave. And that's why we have this goal, create accessible areas in our master plan. And vice versa, if I go to master plan and I have this goal here, someone asked me, why you have this very goal in this case? I go to context and I see, it's because of we identified in this case identify the one of the factor, risk of heat wave, and we also identified that that is one of the needs of one of our stakeholders of local communities and residents. So explainability. It's easy to explain why we have this goal and why it's mapped in this specific way. A framework for continuous performance monitoring. Yeah. That's what we do with any metric. So basically, if I open any metric, I will see this one, no, but I will see how it's changing over time. Yeah. Let's see if we have some good example. I think, for example, yeah, air quality. Yeah. We track it. We track it month by month in this case, on the last day of the month, and we can ensure data consistency as well. Yeah. So in this case, it will be all the records will be recorded to the last day of the month. We know how it will behave if there is no data. In this case, for DEMA purposes, it will reuse the historical data, and we know how it will behave when we need to see a grouped data, like we have it month by month, but what if we needed to have quarter by quarter? In this case, it will be averaged. Yeah. And what we also did was for this scorecard, we can actually track the performance using the metrics and track it for different locations. So anyway, that's one of the strong points of any specialized platform like our BSC Designer. Facilitating discussions, yeah, with all the stakeholders. It's not just with external stakeholders. So for example, if I want to discuss something, I can do it in the context of this metric, for example, time to deploy technological platform. I pick October and I want to say something, and this will be recorded to this October date as a comment from my side. Or if I want to partner with a local government, I have it here, and I can just add something as a comment here. Again, other members of my team will see it. So it's like the way we discuss it with the internally. And in terms of external stakeholders, again, it depends on how you see it. Like, for example, if I want to report to the municipal governments, I would build a dashboard for them. I would build a dashboard that features all the metrics that they want to see, and probably I would generate a report that would include this dashboard and will include all the goals relevant for the stakeholder and also all the supporting details, like how these metrics were performing over time. Yeah, so it depends on how we see it. Better understanding of risks. Yeah, with the risks, we did a good job here. For example, defining risk locally. And the good thing is that we don't just track risk as a one number, like high risk or low risk. We actually have this number, yeah? So I know that the risk is high or lower, but I also track separately likelihood and impact. So I know why this risk is high or lower. And I can also track it date by date. Yeah? So if I move here, you see this one is moving on the chart. Yeah. So I have a lot of control over how the risks are defined. Yes, and finally, performance reporting. In this case, the general approach would be to go to report or use one of the predefined report profiles or create your own. And if you want to automate it, you click schedule and people will start getting it every, depends how you'll schedule it, every month, every week on the email in PDF and showing the right data. Sometimes you just create a report with a dashboard and it's quite a nice picture. And also, I'm now thinking about reporting and discussion. In many cases, what you can link to this dashboard directly, or you can link to this metric directly, also this button here, or you can link to this initiative directly. What it gives me, when we discuss it, like imagine you discuss it in Slack or in WhatsApp or whatever, you just send a link to this item, and all members of your team know what you're talking about. It's not just like, there is a goal on that scorecard when you unfold that. No, you just give a direct link and you start discussing it right away. It's also useful during live calls. So these were the results achieved. And finally, we're getting to Q&A. Feel free to post your questions under the video on YouTube. If you're watching it later, you can also post your questions. We'll try to get back to them. And I will also cover the questions that we had here under the landing page. Okay, Francisco is asking, interesting about the difference between strategy alignment and strategy cascading. If you search on our website, you will find an article on cascading, and we give there a detailed answer. A quick answer in the context of strategy implementation, there is no much difference. The cascading is it comes from the Kaplan-Norton balanced scorecard methodology, and basically it's splitting up the high-level objective into low-level objectives. One nuance difference between the alignment and cascading is that cascading implies that it is from top to bottom, while alignment, it might be like cross-functional, or it's more of discussion nature. Yeah. Because in this case, when we linked the pestle analysis to one of these strategy scorecards, we called it alignment, because there was no actually this kind of cascade. It was not direct connection. It was not hierarchical connection. It was like connection by context. So no much difference. The preferred term is alignment, but more recognized term is cascading. That's the answer on a practical level. How to report? Lucas asked how to report KPIs to stakeholders. Probably depending on what scale you want to do it. Yeah? For example, if you have your where we have it, stakeholder analysis scorecard, what you can do, you can give your stakeholders view-only access to this part. Yeah? And you simply send them the link, and they will see this part. For example, the local governments will see the metrics that you are tracking in their contexts. One option. Another option, like I mentioned before, you create kind of dashboard just for them and have many dashboards here. And then you either give them access or create a report, for example, again, just with dashboard, and you manage to send it to that stakeholders. Yeah, another option. Well, obviously, classical report, you filter it by stakeholder. It's also possible. Yeah, so more or less these directions to follow. Which one to choose depending on what kind of reporting your stakeholders need. Sometimes we saw customers who have a very specific ways to report, and what they do, they just copy and paste certain charts from the tool or dashboards, but the main format, it's like some presentations they have. Okay, Narmin Thomas. I'm working on strategic plan for company. Okay, so three questions here. How to implement HR into strategy, and what talent metric to use. Actually, these are two questions. So what talent metric to use? I would recommend to open the create a scorecard for talent management. And we have, let's actually create it. Talent scorecards. So you will find there are certain metrics that looks like a good practice for most companies, and obviously this will be a starting point for you. You'll also find this green button here, guide for template. So by clicking on it, you will get to the article that explains some nuances about HR strategy. And in terms of implementing HR into strategy, the approach, I think I touched it a little bit. The approach is to either keep it as a functional scorecard here and connect to your main strategy, or if you're like talent strategy is one of your key priorities, key pillars of your strategy, you put it as a sub-strategy here. Actually, let's do it. So, and move it here. Yeah, so let me open master plan and make sure that it's updated. Yeah. So what you see here now with the talent scorecard is contributing perspective by perspective to the master plan. So I can modify it manually if I need. So basically, two ways to do this. One way is to have it separately. Another way is to put it in this hierarchy of your strategy if you think that HR is your main strategy. How to do 360-degree assessment of employee within strategy. Yeah, so 360-degree assessment, I think similar what we have here, this continuous performance evaluation. So think that this is your employee and these are the parameters you use for evaluation. Yeah. So basically, 360-degree evaluation is just another evaluation scorecard, and I would recommend to go for templates and create this one, evaluation scorecard. Again, there is a link to some guidance on how to use it. Training KPIs and integration with strategy. Training KPIs. I think the good starting point is the same. So you go to templates and find training strategy that has certain KPIs. Talking about training KPIs, I would recommend to track strategy effectiveness of certain training on 4 stages. Yeah, like 1, you measure immediate results. 2, you measure something like exam score or pass rate, participation rate. Then you measure some short-term result, like if something was implemented in the company, and after a certain time you measure the impact. If actually what was did is if actually it helped your organization to achieve the expected results. Yeah, I hope it answers this question. Laura asks how to move targets from Excel to the strategy. Okay, so it's actually a more general question is how to move something, some existing strategy, like if you migrate from other tools, like it's often happen in October and November, if you migrate from other tools into BSC Designer or similar platform. In this case, the approach is quite simple. You open your scorecard. Let's open this urban green. You open your scorecard and you go to tools, import data, and you upload it from Excel or from text file. The main challenge is to associate the columns you have in your Excel file with the properties of KPIs. The tool will try to recognize them. And for example, I think the question was about target. If you have just targets, you will have like 2 columns, one with name of indicator, another with target for this. And you can put it and import in this way. Again, there is a link to the video here where we talk about this function in detail, suggesting different options to use. Like, for example, yesterday I was talking to one of their prospective clients about importing data, and they have it like complicated because of the date format was in French date format, and because it was not just one date, not just data for September, October, but data for September, October, November, etc. So in this case, they need to pick this option, and it will manage to import it. Okay, Laura, thank you. Andrew, JJ, talk about competitive analysis. Competitive analysis. Well, a quick answer about competitive analysis: go for templates, for SWOT template, or for 5 Porter's. What's here? Porter's 5 forces template. 5 forces. That's where you have it explained on the level of templates. Again, let me think. The competitive analysis will certainly go to supporting the functional scorecard. It will have the same features from the viewpoint of performance measurement. You will want to quantify competitors according to certain parameters, and you will want to measure them over time. Like you want to measure how they change pricing. You want to probably use some qualitative metric to measure how they do onboarding, and you will link to some supporting documents, to screenshots from their websites, these things. Actually, I'm now thinking about competitors. I was reminded about vendor evaluation scorecards. It's one of the hot topics these days when organizations need to quantify vendors they're working with. It's very similar to quantifying competitors, actually. So in this case, you have a set of questions that you use to validate this vendor. In this case, this is yes/no questions. and okay, you put it on a risk dashboard to actually visualize what it means in terms of risk landscape, how the choice of how different vendors score comparing to other vendors. Like you see here, vendor 1 has lower score than vendor 2, and it's similar to competitor analysis. The trick here is not just tick it one day. The trick is to do it regularly. Like you do it in September, but then you get back to this in January or in February. Like to do continuous analysis of this, and obviously the platform will do it. Okay, so I get into the final question from Daniel. Curious about your approach to risk management. What your perspective on risk register? Yeah, so I think we covered it during the talk, this session. So 2 ways to approach it. One way is to implement risks inside the strategy scorecard, aligned with the goal. And another way is to have it in a separate scorecard, risk register, if you want. This one, that you can organize it according to a risk. So why have risk register? Sometimes that's what is implied by certain regulations. For example, by ISO standard, they don't specifically say that you need to have risk register. What they say that you need to have your risk documented. Yeah. And how to document it? You can document it in a specific scorecard in the context of certain goal, and that's one way to document it. And for my opinion, it's more practical. Yeah? But there are certain general risks that you probably don't know how to project to specific objective, but certainly it exists. Yeah, and in this case, risk register helps. Another thing that helps in this case is this dashboard. So what it does, this is a global dashboard. So it scans all the scorecards where I'm assigned as owner, and it will show me everything that I should be taking care of. So it will show me my initiatives, my action, my indicators, my goals, and in this case, it also shows me the risks. What I can do, I can also visualize here. I don't see if we have it. Yeah, so I can customize it and add a risk, the risk list of the risks that I'm facing as an owner. And another way, another projection of this. So basically, practice showed that companies combine 2 approaches to risk. One is when risk is defined like point definition of risk. You have a goal and you define risk in the context of this goal. Another is to have a risk register. And what you can do, even if you have risk in a risk register, you can link it to the main to some goal in your scorecard, and in the context tab, like I think we did for pastel analysis. In the context tab for this goal, you will see that it relates to certain risk in risk register, and that's also perfectly viable approach. Okay, let me check one question. It's a question from Kabir. How is it to implement lean best practices in BSC Designer and continuous improvement SQDC, A3, etc.? Yeah, great question. Actually, I had a similar question yesterday about implemented Cabit, also framework. So my take on this is that most of lean practices, most of agile practices, most of risk management framework, most of performance measurement frameworks, they basically stress very similar ideas. they stress the idea that we need to understand who are the stakeholders in this case and what are their interests. Probably they don't use the name of stakeholder, but they use different names, but the idea is the same, the stakeholders. They also require us to get to certain level of details, which is in this case level of indicators, level of initiatives, level of risks, to make things, to do this decomposition, to move from high level of abstraction to lower level of abstraction, to get to this level where we are clear about what we're doing. That's what all the framework requires. Sometimes there is a requirement for a risk, and in most cases we'll find requirement for alignment. So not just defining certain structure, but also showing how certain pieces are related to other pieces. Yeah, so with these key components, we on this platform, for example, we can describe any framework. And we did it many times. We did it for OKRs. We did it for Hoshin Kanri strategic planning frameworks. So it's always reducing to having measurable parts, to having risks, to having stakeholders. And basically that's the approach to presenting any framework on the platform. Yeah, so just give it a try, and if you need some ideas, want to discuss something, just let us know and we'll try to be helpful. It's just qualification and limited practice in bound scorecards. How to make limited practice in for the balance of scorecards, I would recommend to avoid the term the balance scorecard itself, because, for example, this scorecard, it follows more or less a classical balance scorecard by Kaplan and Norton. The four perspectives, the cause and effect logic between goals, the certain approaches to decomposition. But what if I create a new scorecard, and what if I use different perspectives, like, for example, it was called results-based. Yeah, different results-based management. Does not follow the classical balance scorecard framework. Different perspectives, different approach to decomposition. Yeah, in this case, we're like looking short-term results, longer-term results, and expected outcomes. But again, in all cases, we get to the level of goals, indicators. Yeah, so there is a one common thing in all the frameworks that we automate. We always get to the these small units, which are indicators, risks, goals, and action plans. So that's the common idea for all frameworks, for all methodologies, including agile methodologies, as far as I know. Yeah. Another question. Let me read it. I would definitely like to know more and try the demo. Yes, sure. You're welcome to try the demo. Let me actually use this opportunity and show people how they can sign up. So you go to sign up page and you have two options. One option, you sign up with a free plan and you start experimenting yourself. Another option is you access the demo account that we actually used during this. Try the demo, but then it has only the view option, correct? No, if you go to demo account, you can only view, but you can sign up with your free plan, and basically you can play with it, and many companies actually create the prototype of their scorecards there. Okay, would I be another question? Would I be able to make changes and check the results in the dashboards? Yes, absolutely. So you go for this option, you sign up, and you have certain limits, which is 5 scorecards and 36 indicators in each scorecard. But if you look on pricing page, it's actually no other limits. Well, actually, you cannot change the logo in your account, but no other significant limits besides this limit in the number of scorecards. So with free plan, you sign up and you can try it as well. And the question about template, do you have a lot of ready templates to try from, or stitch one as and when required? Yes, about templates. So yes, we have many, and you will find them all here. Some of them are marked with premium. What it means? It means that there are a lot of indicators there. So you can, again, in this, for example, quality scorecard, you can view it, but you won't be able to change it because it's outside of limit for paid plan only. In all scorecards, you can actually switch here on the root item, and you can see how many items you have. So this one has 15 or 14, and the limit is 36. So I can add more to play with this scorecard more. So and about templates, it's more for enterprise users who, in their practice, they follow a specific approach to the strategy. So what they do, they actually create their own template here. And so now if I start, I will have the balancer scorecard template for perspectives. What they can do, well, any user can do, is to use some scorecard as a template. So you create your perfect template, probably 4 perspectives, probably 5 perspectives as you want, and you save it as a template. And then users under your account will have a different. So there are many features in terms of customization and adaptation tool to your need. Yeah, so you can give them all a try. For example, one of the features is like here you have all these standard fields, but you can add custom fields as well. So something that is specific for your organization. Even in those 5 scorecards, I can try different templates. Correct. Yes, correct. Actually, you can try all of them. Yeah, so you create 5 scorecards, then you don't need some you just click delete. The scorecard will be deleted, so you have 4 scorecards, and you can go new scorecard and create another one. Yeah, so in these terms, you can try all of them. Yeah. So again, the software will just show you a message that you reached the limit, and you remove one of the scorecards. And if you want to try all of them, you can obviously try them. Okay, so I think it was actually a good reminder to talk about the customization and templates, because it's something that people ask. And if you want to check out all the features the platform provide, probably a good place is to go to pricing page. The first section shows the difference between the plans, and the second section shows all the features that are shared by all the plans. Yeah. So, for example, for customization that we discussed, user-defined scorecard templates. Click on I icon to see the details. Like customization of data model, other customization. So that's a good place to check out the features. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So let me check if there were more questions here. I don't think so. Let me check if someone sent us any questions privately. No. So I think we're good for now. And thank you for your questions. Yes, perfect. Yeah, so feel free to try the platform and get back to us with more questions. And let's finish it and see you in other live stream.